All right. Yesterday we learned, on Friday. Friday we had a class, and on Friday we learned about a midrash, and the midrash says that the name of the Moshiach, which is Menachem, and the holy temple will come in the merit as a result of us resting on the holiday, making the holiday a holy day by refraining from doing regular work, and by taking the lulav and the etrog. Lulav and the etrog will get the name of the Mashiach, and by not working on the holiday, something like Shabbat, you don't work on something like that, by not doing that, then we get the holy temple. That's what it says. Why? Because both of these things, it says Yom Rishon, and the holy temple is called Rishon, the first, and the Mashiach is called Rishon Lezion. Both of them are called Rishon, and because of these two Rishons, namely resting on the holiday, not working on the holiday, and taking the lulav and etrog, we get the other two Rishons, which is the holy temple and the name of the Mashiach. So the Rebbe asks a few questions, and among the questions are, the holy temple should be in the merit of the sukkah. We sit in the sukkah. What's the taking of lulav and etrog got to do with it? Also, why only the name of the Mashiach? Why not the Mashiach itself? What? And what's this idea of resting on the holiday, not working on the holiday? It should be the happiness of the holiday. So obviously, if the Midrash says it, the Midrash did not make a mistake. So there must be something very deep to be learned from this. So the Rebbe said, let's have a look at the holiday of Sukkot. What do we do in the holiday of Sukkot? In the holiday of Sukkot, we take physical things in the world and we make commandments from them. Two of them are Sukkah and Lulav and Etrog. What is a Sukkah? A Sukkah is not from anything special, like you have tefillin or mezuzahs. That's made from the leather that's specially prepared. It has to be specially prepared, and for the Lulav and Etrog, you take boards or whatever, make walls from them. Walls can be made of anything, and you put on the top of it branches. That's the roof, is branches. The branches don't change. You don't change the branches. And you're not supposed to change the branches. You just put branches on the top. It doesn't really change anything. Right? But as soon as you do that, it becomes holy. And you're not allowed to use, as soon as you sit in the sukkah, then the branches, they become holy. You're not allowed to use them for anything else, at least the days of the holiday. And some people say even the walls, that they become holy. So that's an example of mundane, regular, physical, normal, day-to-day objects becoming holy. All of a sudden they become holy. They become commandments of God, which that's the whole purpose of the Jewish people, is to show that the whole world is holy. Potentially, to reveal that God is creating everything and everything has a purpose to it. Everything. But even more so we take regular mundane things and we make a sukkah from it. The lulav and etrog is even more. It says the reason that we take these four different types of foliage, three types of foliage and one fruit, and we use them for the commandment of lulav and etrog. And maybe I'll just show you a picture of it again, just so that everybody just gets this whole thing clear, so there's no confusion. Confusion is not good. Let's see, lulav, and etrog. Here we go. Let's see. Ready? Go. Here, lulav and etrog. Here we got revision. Right. We did this yesterday, but why not do it again? I hope everybody knows what we're talking about. Here, this is the lulav, the central branch. That's the lulav. This is the etrog. Etrog. It's a citrus fruit. This is the hadas. It's called hyssop, I think. And this is called arava, which is willow branches, simple willow branches. Huh? That's it. That's the whole thing. But these are chosen, God chose them because they already have qualities of unity in them. says the etrog grows on the trees the whole year. The whole year. It's harvested twice a year, whatever it is. It grows on the trees the whole year. This is not just one time of the year. It grows the whole year. The lulav, it says, look at these are all separate branches, but they're all put together. So you can't see it clearly, but they're all separate branches, but they're all unified together. The same thing as the willow tree. If you look for it, this is the willow tree. It looks like one big sort of mushroom from far away. All unity. And the hadas, all of the leaves, they cover one the other. There's not supposed to be any place empty on the stick. So that all of them already have qualities of unity before you put them all together and you reunify them even to a higher degree. You put them all together. So as they are in nature, before you use them, they're already they already have concealed in them the thing of unity. Okay, so let's go back to this. Explain the Chassidus says their time that the reason was for mitzvahs, that the commandment, that's what he's going to say, from the commandment of lakachtem lachem is oiskiklivim. Why is it that it was chosen? Second, let's make this bigger. Why was it chosen specific these four types of vegetation for this commandment of sukkah? Because these four have the. Where's my thing here? Here it goes. Because these four types of vegetation have qualities of unity, like I just explained to you. The lulav, it says all of the leaves are unified. The hadas, the hyssop, there's 3 on 3, and the whole branch is covered. Arovos, they grow all together in achva, and like brotherhood, unity, like one. And how much more so the etrog, it is on the tree for the whole entire year. It goes through all of the different seasons. It unifies all the seasons. This is in these four types of vegetation, you unify all of them. I'm sorry. The etrog, it unifies all of the different seasons from the 4 times of the year, 4 times of summer, spring, winter, summer, fall. It unifies them all. When it goes because of Zachen from Welt, because these things are just physical things in the world, and they are usually things in the world are separated one from the other, and they only show signs of everything being different from one another. So it indicates as das was the Dalet, meaning that these 4 types have in them an Eigenschaft, a unity, a propensity to unity. This comes from a fact which somehow or other it is their uniqueness is weakened in sein Welt de Gescheit. The world stresses separation. To be a leader, to be different, to be this, I'm who I am, I'm different. But the fact that these show unity, these 4 show unity, shows that they have more of a propensity to surrender for the sake of unity than to be, they say, stubborn for the sake of individuality. That makes sense? Was usually things in the world are stubborn. They want to be themselves. They don't want to change. These 4 types of vegetation, because they show a thing of unity, that all the leaves are unified all together, so they already show a propensity, a tendency to, to bend, to meet the other, to be harmonious. Let's take an example in an orchestra, right? In an orchestra, so you have an orchestra. So the people that play in the orchestra usually are professional musicians. They really know how to play their instrument. They can play it fast and they can play it high and low. But for the sake of unity, so they hold back. They hold back. So because they have this ability that they can hold back. Therefore, they get hired. They're used. The same thing is with these four different types of vegetation. They have inside of them the quality of being able to hold back, that they want unity, they want harmony. So therefore, God chose specifically these four types of vegetation that they should be used. Was das is verbunden, this is connected with bittul, because they have the quality of what's called surrender. They're bittul tzulakus, surrendering to God. Okay, here's a very basic thing in Judaism, in reality, in life, in marriage, is there has to be a willingness to surrender. There has to be willing to surrender. And what surrender means is that you're certain that you're right. You're sure that you're right. But you're willing to admit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not 100% right. He's willing to listen to another opinion. Willing to listen. That's openness. That's what's called bittul. Bittul means surrender. Surrender. He surrenders himself, his certainty and his how do you say, his stubbornness, his whatever it is, his successes and everything, and is willing to come down a little bit. He's willing to come down. Admit maybe other people have a right to live. Other people, maybe I should listen to others. Maybe. That's called bittul. This is a very essential thing in life. This is the big message of Judaism to the world. Stop thinking about yourself so much. Stop thinking about yourself. Think about the Creator. Think about the Creator. That's what's called bittul. And that's the secret of happiness. Because the more a person thinks about himself, the more he is apt to be depressed and angry. And the more that a person thinks about God, the more he has a tendency to be happy. He's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about something good. God is good. But you have to surrender yourself. That's the quality which is in these four types. Okay. Was for them, from this, it's understood. As chach oich, by Allah mitzvahs, all the commandments, is da zichuch, every commandment there makes some sort of a refinement and an elevation in the things that you use to do the commandment with. Like we said before, that's the idea of the commandments. But kumtes ober nit, that doesn't reach the refinement and the elevation of the four types of vegetation you use for the lulav. Vazain and roy, because they already, before you use them, they already were fit. They were sort of waiting for the commandment of the kaktam lechem. Vibalt, as in their zichuch, because their refinement on Eloi and their elevation, you can see clearly the idea of the oneness higher than anything else. In other words, the lulav, etrog, all these things already had tendencies of unity. When you give a higher level of unity, you put them all together, then that really indicates a type of a unity which cannot be found in anything else in the world. Unity. And thus is the einer from the four of the this is the main things which we can see by the commandments we said before, sukkah and the four types. What? That's why the happiness of sukkah comes, because you're surrendering yourself to God, you're unifying, unity, inside their chiluk, and whether it's talking about it's talking about what is in common with lulav and the etrog and the sukkah, and what's different between lulav and the sukkah. What's different? The tzad hashava, what is the similarity between the lulav and the etrog and the sukkah is two mitzvahs. This is, in beta, is morgash. You can feel the connection from how you take the physical world. In the sukkah, it's the schach of the sukkah, the ceiling of the sukkah, and the walls of the sukkah. and the four types called the daled meaning. The lulav and etrog is called the four types. So the mitzvahs mirror the under mitzvahs. In them, you can see how the physical becomes a mitzvah more than any other commandment. Why? Because why? Because like we said, when you sit in the sukkah, you can still see that it's a sukkah. you can still see that it's just walls, just boards or whatever, and branches. You can see it clearly. And the same thing with lulav and etrog. You're taking physical things, and you can see clearly they remain physical. You didn't make any massive changes in them, like you do when you put tefillin on or something, or tzitzis. You wind them and you do this. It's just the same thing, but you're using it for a commandment. So that's what's similar between the two. But the difference between them is sukkah and lulav and etrog is, as the sheikh, is the connection between the roof, the ceiling of the sukkah, the schach of the sukkah, with the commandment of sitting in the sukkah, is by the pu'ula. You have to do something in it physical. By means of doing the commandments. You sit in the sukkah, then the schach becomes holy. Then the branches on the top, then you can see that it's a commandment. But the four types we talked about, the lulav and etrog, from the four type, their connection to the commandment, this is just because how they were in their own nature before you even did the commandment. That these four were already fitting, they were already prepared, ready to do the commandment. You can see the unity even before you use them. These four things expressed unity even before they were made commandments. Oh. And this is going to be something special about Moshiach. We're going to see. Another similarity and difference between these two commandments of Sukkah and Lulav. Sukkah is higher from any division. Sukkah encompasses everything that's in it. It surrounds and it encompasses the whole entire person, his feet, his head at once. Even more. Nitnor is Zehecher. Not only is it higher than any of the divisions of head and foot and body by a Jew, the sukkah. Even the highest nor Ze is Hecher Oich from their Yischalchos vision Einiden mit der Zweitjeden. When a Jew goes into the sukkah, it doesn't make any difference if he's the greatest, holiest Jew in the world, or if he's the simplest Jew, just happens to wander in the sukkah, doesn't even know what he's doing. All of the Jewish people are fitting to sit in the sukkah. You did a commandment. You just went into the sukkah, you're doing a commandment. And so, sukkah, it negates all differences. But the thing of the four meaning, the lulav and etrog, their thing is unity, the unity from details. And yeder min gufa, to retain each one's individuality and express unity from that. Harmony. Sukkah is not harmony. Sukkah is unity, oneness. Everything is equal, same, no difference. And the unity of lulav and etrog is harmony. Everything is different, and its difference is essential. It has to maintain its difference. The lulav has to be a lulav, the etrog has to be a lulav, but nevertheless, it's unified. And the unification from these four together, from the alaminim, becomes one commandment. Oh, there's four different types, and they're necessary that there's four, but when you put them together, it becomes one commandment. So if so, sukkah indicates negating all differences, and lulav and etrog indicates utilizing all differences. This idea of unity, there's a big difference between the sukkah and the four types. In the sukkah, there is no details which are division. Sukkah, there's no details in the sukkah. The main thing of the sukkah is just the covering over the top. That's all. The walls are a secondary thing. Just the covering over. So it's all, which is not the case, the four meaning, the four types. There is differences. The four different types of vegetation that you use, they have to maintain their identity. They have to be different. No, the pratim very nisach, it's just that unite them. So this is two different types of unity, and the second one of the lulav and etrog is more what Moshiach is going to do. Again, the main idea of Moshiach is to make this physical world holy, or let's say even more, to show how holy this physical world is. and to show how close God is. That's the idea of Moshiach. To show how close God himself is to every single human being in the world, and how precious every single human being is in the world, and how precious the world is, the physical world. That's the idea. In order to do that, so we take the world and we use it to do commandments with. There is no commandment which indicates the unity that Mashiach will bring more than Lulav and Etrog. Namely, every single human being will be precious. Every single human being will maintain their uniqueness, but at the same time, there'll be total unity. They'll all be put together. Okay, well, let's see. Let's not jump the gun. Yeshlam, what we can say is the Beta Chilukim, that these two differences between Sukkah and the four types, namely, what are they? Namely, the Chiluk, the difference in the Sheikhas from the mitzvah to the Devorim Gashmiim, right? Both of them have the commandment deal with physical things and base and their chiluk be'inyan achdus and the different type of unity which there is. Both of them, we can see this in the world. They're together from olam, right? Let's take what we learned in Lulav and Etrog and the Sukkah and relate it to the physical world. The idea of world. Right? What's the Bible? God created a world. That's how it starts off. God created a world. What happened to the world? That's afterwards. That's the details. The whole idea that God created a world, via his mitzad atzmo, is his chalkus, that the world is separate, unpirud, and everything in the world is separate from everything else, and apparently separate from God. Undos was bekama devorim, that which in the world there is certain types, and we can see unity is as mitzad them. It's because of this was in di zachin, and those things is meir, shines the unity which comes from God. Unity, that which sometimes there's harmony because God allows there to be harmony. God wants there to be harmony in the world, but that's unusual. Usually in the world everything is separate. And then is moving from this. It's understood as the chiluk, the difference between unity of Sukkah, which we said is higher than any sort of differences, and the unity from the four types of Lulav and Etrog, which this stresses the details, is behetem. This is the difference between the different types of godliness which are revealed in the Lulav and Etrog and in the Sukkah. The Inyan Achdus, the unity, how it is revealed in the Lulav and Etrog, is a unity of details. Biz as oich noch zer etachtos, that even after they are unified together, for bleben ze pratim mechulakim. You take the Lulav and Etrog and you see four different types. Bring the rois. This brings, and this expresses how it is, the world, which the world itself is details and sub-details and details. State in a bittel, so elokus, this shows how the world, if Lulav and Etrog, that everything is different, and you use that for a mitzvah, which means connecting it to God, this is a type of godliness, which also when it shines in the world does the same thing. It shows how the world, although it is detailed, but it's really one unit by God. With all of its details, maintaining the details. Which is not the case, the unity which is brought about by Sukkah. Is Mushlal, which the Sukkah, it negates, it's higher from any division. Vert Orois bringen, this will bring out when spiegelt sich auf, and it reflects the unity from godliness which is higher than the world. Like miracles. Miracles, everybody's knocked out. Miracle. According to this, the difference between the Sukkah and the four types, the Lulav and Etrog, in the unity which is in them. Now, when we do the commandment of Sukkah, this draws down a commandment. We draw down a certain type of, and reveal a certain type of godliness in the world. Which type of godliness? Godliness which unifies the whole world as one, without any details. When we do the commandment of Lulav and Etrog, this also draws down a blessing from God into the world, but it leaves the world in its details and utilizes those details to make unity. So the commandment of lulav and etrog and the commandment of sukkah, this draws down a type of godliness which is relevant to the type of godliness revealed in both. The four types, the lulav and etrog, because the whole thing is world, steht in a bittel, how the world in all of its details is surrendered to God. The Rebbe, therefore, is the hadgasha, the stress is that the joining, the physical joining of this commitment, the mitzvahs, the commandments which are in them, vizay, how they, second, how they are a part of the world, to the physicality in them, is kentik. So you can see in the lulav and esrog, there you can see clearly in zer mitzius gashmi that every detail of the physical is being used to do a commandment, and it is fitting, it's prepared, ready to do a commandment with. Which is not, that's the lulav and etrog, which is not the case sukkah, because its whole thing is drawing down oneness of God. The Rebbe, therefore, the stress is joining the commandments, the physical, regarding the main thing is the commandment. You don't feel the world so much as the hamshacha selokus, the drawing down of godliness, the blessing that you bring down by sitting in the sukkah is higher than any of the division of spiritual, physical, pure godliness, oneness. When the Rebbe, therefore, Vert Nimshach is drawn down the holiness also in the physical, the wood of the sukkah and the walls. So the wood of the sukkah and the walls they're not ready to do a commandment with. They show no sign of unity or surrender to God or harmony with God. They're just wood on the walls and branches on nothing to do with holiness. By making them into a sukkah, you draw down a level of godliness which is totally above the world, makes no difference between holy, not holy, spiritual, physical. Even the branches can be holy, which is not the case with the lulav and etrog. By the lulav and etrog is stressed the idea of details. It stresses that the world was ready to receive God in all of its details. The lulav and etrog, they're ready. They're already, their nature is one of unity before you even do the command with it. And I just want to make a 1 minute break over here. Excuse me 1 second. We'll come back to this 1 second. How are we going to do this? There's a way to do this 1 second.